is over, it should prompt you, Zoom should prompt you to go ahead and do that update. And if you are coming to any other Toastmasters meeting, you might want that update so you can use all those reactions and wow your fellow Toastmasters and friends. What are we doing on time? 7:05. What do you guys think? Should we wait a couple more minutes? How many of us are in here? 33. I think I saw we had about 50 or 60 registrants. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, it was right at 60 around 4 o'clock, I think.
I don't know how to say the word. So we will wait just about, I don't know, what do you guys think? Maybe a minute or two, and then we will go ahead and let the ball roll. So if you guys want to test out the chat, feel free to drop in the chat that where in the world or what part of your house you are zooming in from. I always think that's entertaining. Yes, you can write testing. You can put a short joke if you want. You know, I love jokes. So if you guys have a good joke that's quick, like a little one-liner, I'm welcome to that. Man cave Alpharetta. Touche. I like that. I like the man cave idea. You know what I want? Don't tell my man. I want a she shed. I think that I should have a she studio shed where I could take all my calls and do all my work and just like be in a completely different building than the rest of my family. I think that would be fantastic. Because, you know, we have 3 kids and a dog, and sometimes you just need some space. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to the new people who have just arrived. Roswell. Ooh, Roswell's not far from me either. Douglasville, another man cave. Oh, I like that. Cartersville. Oh, yeah, Cartersville. You're up by me. I'm in Ackworth. Nice. There's not as many of us up here, I feel like. I feel like we're almost in our own little dungeon of sorts. The kitchen in Swanee. The kitchen is a dangerous place to take Zoom meetings from, especially if you have other people who live with you. That's how, yeah. It's like a danger zone in general in my house. Mary David is at home in Powder Springs. Lovely, lovely. Home in Woodstock. Perfect. So all over. And somebody down in Pensacola. So I feel like we're doing very well right now. In the war room? William, what are you doing in a war room? What does that even mean? Should I be nervous for you? Maybe just a little. Oh, that's fantastic. And a comfy chair. Oh, I like comfy chairs. All right. Well, I think we've got a good bit of people here. It is 7:07, so I think we can begin. I'm Amanda May Gray. If I haven't met you before on Zoom, because chances are not great I've met you in person so recently, I am a part of 3 different clubs here at District 44. And I just like to talk. So somehow they figured out I was good at it and they let me blabber on in front of you guys. I am very pleased to be working with Joe Sasso. He is he is a member of one of my clubs that I am in, and he is a great guy. Somebody who's been around Toastmasters just a little bit longer than me, but not like a lot longer, I'm pretty sure. And he is going to teach us some amazing things tonight. As we were utilizing the chat, I do encourage you to utilize the chat. I will be monitoring the chat during our session here so that if there is anything you have a question on and you want to get some clarification from Joe, please go ahead and utilize that. We also will be doing some questions and looking for some answers in the chat as well. And as I mentioned, if anybody missed it, please feel free to use the reactions button and just be wowed, you know? And of course, if you want to learn more about Joe and what he's up to and how to get more deep dive with Joe, his information is on the screen here, his email, phone number, and his website. Now, some of you may be familiar with Joe as a John Maxwell certified trainer, which I think is super cool. I aspire to something of sorts like that someday. But he also has run leadership teams literally around the world, which I think is super amazing. But he did it pre-COVID, which meant he actually did it in person and he had to travel around. I know. How about that? Joe, I feel like you might have liked this virtual environment and maybe a little less jet lag. But without further ado, I would love to introduce to you all tonight Mr. Joe Sasso, who also has a book that you guys are going to find a little bit more about as well that is coming out shortly. So Joe, I'd love to have you take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Amanda. Ladies and gentlemen, as I was preparing this, I had a lot of help from the folks that you have met already, Amanda and a fellow named David and Rick. We were talking about what are the objectives that we want to satisfy the needs of the audience, the people that are coming to this, looked at a circular and said, gee, I want to go learn more about this. So my objectives will focus, I hope, on what you are expecting tonight. The first thing we're going to be talking about, and it's based on my book, the latest book, actually. We're going to be talking about spiraling up. As teams get together, they spiral up. And the surprising secret is there's no secret to what great teams do. And we're going to help you understand that tonight. It's all about head and heart. Heart is the most important part of the objective that we'll be talking about tonight. It all has to do with synchronicity. You know, when you watch a sporting team and they come to their greatest moments, they'll come off the floor or they'll come off the field and they won't be able to tell you exactly how they did it. But it all relates to their practice, drill, and rehearse. All those things culminated in this massive performance, this masterful performance where they were in the zone. But I call it, for team purposes, in the heart zone. So tonight we're going to be getting into the heart zone. One of the things we'll end up with is a time in which we can look at the spiral, which you're going to get exposure to in several instances. And I'll give you a couple of scenarios. And in the scenarios, I'll have you look at the spiral and try to guess where we are in that spiral. What's happening in the scenario? And if everything goes well, you'll be able to check some boxes, and we'll give a little poll out, which shows how you felt about the scenario and what worked. The last thing we'll do is an open Q&A. And at that point in time, Amanda will have been searching the chat box, and she'll be giving us information on some of the questions that came up that really will open all of our minds to what the possibilities are when we do great teamwork. So here is the master slide for being in the zone. You can see there's a lower spiral. You read it from the bottom to the top. Okay. And you see the head in the bottom. That's where the knowledge is. That's where we know what we do to be successful as a team. And as you climb through the spiral, you see the words more for less, faster, easier, and better. That's when the team is at their ultimate and their best performance. It's all about their heart and being in the heart zone. So I want to address the spiral from the lower and the upper spiral. We'll be looking at head and, of course, the heart side and the heart in the middle, the synchronicity, where it all happens. Let's start with relationships. I was in London to do a sales training course for a company that had been given an opportunity to go in business in competition against a mega company. Now, the mega company had gotten a lot of bad flack, bad press, because they had a monopoly. There was nobody that was able to sell against them, sell product and service. So as a result, they agreed to start opening up to competitors. One of the first businesses that they opened up was the business that I was called in to do sales training for. Now the manager, Mike, in quick order, with a limited budget and a lot of pressure, hired 40 salespeople. Well, there was a problem. Those salespeople weren't salespeople, which is why he wanted my services. Come on in and help me train these people so that they can go out and sell. And that was my responsibility to Mike. As I begin any session, I usually try to canvass the room, just an idea of what the participants want. So as the participants go around the room telling me about their expectation, I'm trying to prioritize in my mind what it is that they want to hear more about. If I get the top 3 priorities that they have, I'm going to have a great session because I'm addressing what they want, not just what I want to deliver. I want to pique their imagination. I want to help them think about their growth and development, but ultimately the idea that what they want is the best place to address growth and development for them. Now, as I canvassed the room, something started to happen. Everybody was saying, well, I'm going to get in sales, but my ultimate goal is I want to be in management in 6 months. And I heard this repeatedly, just about from everybody. And the question on my mind was, wait a minute, this is a sales team that we're putting together. Well, I gave everybody a break and I huddled with Mike, the manager, and I said, Mike, what happened here? And Mike said, well, I interviewed everybody and I realized I was a little hyper about it. We have so much potential, Joe. I just can't tell you. We're going to really make a lot of money and we're going to make a great impact on the London market. And I said, well, what did you tell him? He said, well, I did tell him that, there was an opportunity that in short order, as we grew, everybody could become or you could become a manager. I said, well, Mike, they took that to heart. You know that now, don't you? Of course he did. So we had an adjustment that we had to make because there was definitely a mismatch on the vision that Mike had for the team and what the team's vision was of their work in the company. Now, these people were not salespeople. They had been hired because they didn't know sales, but they had energy that Mike liked. They had personality that Mike liked. His idea was that with proper training, these folks could be a top sales team. So his idea is right, but it wasn't conveyed properly to the team. To shore up our situation, I also had a program which was about team building. And of course, that was what we needed to go to. Mike and I decided that that day, we were going to do a team building program for the people that were there. Then we were going to give them a break, but a day off, so to speak, but a day in the office in which they could use the team building exercises that I was going to take them through to kind of mesh with their peers, to begin to understand each other, to get that personality in there that they have, their love for other people. And in fact, the more they communicated that next day, the more we saw lights going off and opportunities. They were ready to learn from each other. It was a great way to start. Now, in the days that followed, the training days that followed, there was something else that came in, and it was kind of a bad thing because they were thinking competitively. And I had to bring them back to where they were as a team. Years ago, we got into this thought process of when you're working in a company, on a team, you should be internally collaborative. Internally collaborative with everybody. This is the heart of what makes a team successful. We have to eliminate silos, private agendas, all those things that divide us. It's the opportunity to work together to share. I use the word mutual to bring that thought home. You see, it's beyond win-win. Mutual means I see an opportunity for you and I address it with you. I say, I think you ought to try this because I think this is going to really make you better. And so that kind of a heart finds reciprocation. The other person will be thinking about me later on and say, you know, Joe, I think you ought to look into this because this could be a golden opportunity for you to grow and develop to a new level. So the internal collaborative efforts is what we want to build on teams. The second part of my slogan is internally collaborative, externally competitive. So don't misunderstand. In the sales training program, we did talk about the values, the qualities, the expertise that they'll need to be successful in selling the product and service. Even though they were the first competitor on the market, we wanted them to capitalize as quick as possible. So what I've just exposed you to is the head, okay, meeting with the heart. We had head experience and a mismatch of vision, total mismatch, but the adjustment was made. You see, as soon as the people knew that we cared about them, it became evident that they could become a better team because of the heart that we were okay. The head that we ended up, the head and the heart that we share is always about synchronicity. I want to make sure that that's clear to everybody. There is no way that a team can perform in a great manner if they aren't synchronicity connected by the heart. The heart is in the heart zone where everything happens for the great benefit of the team. I want to address now communications. We're going to look at the same slide, but I'm going to address the idea of what communications means. In the communications section of the team as they come together, it's important to understand what people do together, and it's communicate. There's no holding back. In fact, I would encourage teams often to talk more, to reveal more, to share more, because the type of communications that comes out, you never know when the right words are being said. So you never want to hold back on communications that can help the whole team. I was in Los Angeles working again for a company that was already in existence. They had a good team, but they wanted to increase their sales expertise. So I came in to do an advanced sales team training program. And as is my custom, when I'm coming into an area like that and I have the opportunity, I usually ask the sales manager, in this case, a sales manager, to let me spend some time with somebody who is just kind of not making it. You know, they're not quite there yet. They understand sales, but they're struggling. And so I like to take that as a one-on-one opportunity to find out what they really want that I can provide in the training session, not to point them out, but this was also a one-on-one opportunity for me to share my coaching with them on how they could advance. So I start with the people that are struggling. Then I move to the middle of the pack. I'd like to meet with somebody who's, you know, they've been around a while, they're successful, they have their ups and downs. They're not necessarily at the top of the pack, but they're very successful and they're happy with what they're doing. And everybody recognizes them as a team player, but they're not quite at that pinnacle of success that they want to be as a salesperson. So this is another chance for me to work one-on-one. I like to find out what the strengths of an individual are. It's not, I don't dwell on weaknesses. people already know their weaknesses. I might talk about them, but I don't spend my time there. My time is usually spent with the strengths that the people have. See, I believe that each of us has a genius. We have gifts. Those gifts, when they're shared properly, they expand and increase everybody that we come in contact with. Again, this is a heart motivation. You see, the more you love something, the more you increase, your knowledge increases, your energies increase. Other people begin to want to be around you because of this energy, this positive motivation that's coming out of you. It's the strengths that you have, your unique gifts and talents. And when it comes to teamwork, it's always about the right person contributing the right talent at the right time in the right place that makes us successful. So here we have a situation where I now wanted to find out who was the best salesperson. I was directed to a senior citizen, as a matter of fact. His name was Chet, and he asked to meet at a local coffee shop. So we had a cup of coffee together and talked a little bit. I got to know Chet, and lo and behold, he told me his best prospecting arena was right across the street in the park. Curious. Wow. So Chet and I meandered across the street, and right away we started meeting people that he knew. He was well known in that park. It was his favorite place to be. And it was also where he got his most business. So Chet used what we call the Socratic method for sales. That is, to find out what the other person wants. You see, I can't sell you anything. And in Chet's case, he knew that very well. He was a smart thinking salesperson. So the questions he asked of the people in the park were generally along, hey, you having a good time? Great. What happens if somebody needs to find you? How would they find you in this park? You know, they had loved ones, maybe family or friends, or maybe they were working and spending the afternoon catching up on other things. And among that, good R&R. Whatever it was, Chet would ask the questions, and sure enough, there would be a meeting from head to heart. They would start to understand through the Socratic method, the questions that Chet was asking were in their best interest. It was their best interest that Chet was there to help them become more free with their time, and yet at the same time, they were not out of control about their time. Amazing thing happened with Chet that very day that we were together. One of his friends said to us, hey, Chet, you got to go see that guy over there. I think he really needs it. I know that if you talk to him like you talk to me, you're going to be able to sell him right on the spot. Now, Chet was selling pagers, you know, those things that found you. So the most important thing that I took away from this, and I asked Chet to talk about it later on in the training session, was he was getting referrals for his business without asking for it. People knew they were benefiting and they wanted others to benefit. Here's the heart back in action again. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you how often we need to tune into the fact that so much of the good we do comes from the heart. And when we operate in the heart zone, we have fantastic successes. Anyway, the next day we started a sales training session, and I did ask Chet to share a little bit with the team. He was an open communicator. He understood everything that made the team successful. He was not afraid to share his thoughts about what made him successful and how they could in turn use those same efforts to become more successful. You see, the Socratic method, and I'm getting back to that because Chet mentioned it and sold it unfailingly to the sales team. If you understand asking questions, the other person will respond. The basis for it is if I talk, I know what I know. But if you talk, I know what you know, and I know what I know. That's the beginning of great communications. So sharing in this situation was about listening, and listening is key to great success. I wish our schools would start teaching listening from the very beginning when the kids start school. If they learned how to listen, there would be greater meetings of the mind. People would come forward with information that they want to share. There would be no competitiveness. There would be an open collaboration for all that we do together. Now I want to take us into an element called the trust area. If we understand trust, we need to know that the greatest asset, the greatest trait that a team has is the asset of trust. If I can trust everybody on the team, we will all elevate to that point where we are heart to heart in sync with each other. Oh, lost my place here, pardon me. All right, so trust is a very important element. Again, here's another story for you. I was a young salesman in Chicago, and I had been given an opportunity to make a proposal to a large detective agency. They were going to be doing the security work on a 100-story building in Chicago. And it was my responsibility to help them buy the right equipment for their security team. I had made a proposal to the purchasing department. It was well received, and I was told that I would have to appear before the board with my two competitors, not at the same time, but I would be making a board presentation. So I began to work on the presentation. And in the presentation, I dotted my I's, I crossed my T's, I tried to role play with myself, what questions they might ask, how I would answer, so that I would be in the driver's seat. So I was in the driver's seat as far as helping them understand that I had the best product and service that would meet their needs. This was for the board. As fate would have it, all my preparation went down the drain. I was late for the meeting. I mean, this is a board meeting. 9 members of a board are waiting for me, and I am late. What to do now? Well, I could see it on the face of the receptionist, the administrator, when I arrived. She kind of looked at me in complete dismay. Are you serious? You're late for this meeting? Very quickly, it reminded me of a saying that Gale Sayers, who ran it was not only a football player, but ran a consultant company. He used to say, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you will soon be forgotten. That raced through my mind right away. The proposal could be lost completely because it almost spoke to me not honoring the people that I was appearing for, that board of directors. How could I shore it up? Well, I was escorted into the room, the door opened, and the 9 people at the table, a long table, as you can imagine a boardroom is usually equipped with, they all stopped. They became motionless as they turned and looked at me walking in the door. I stood there and I didn't know what to say. I was praying for mercy, but I didn't know what to say. I thought about it for a minute and I knew what to say. I said, I'm sorry I'm late. I'm sorry because it's my fault. I just did not allow myself enough time to get here. I apologize. Please forgive me. There was silence in the room. It seemed like an eternal silence. But then one board member spoke up and he said, you know what? That's the most honest response I've ever heard from anybody who was late for a meeting. Young man, I assume this is a very important meeting. Is that right? I shook my head, of course, yes. Well, you need to know that prior to your coming into our meeting, the board was talking about the element of trust. And we agreed that of the competitors that were making presentations, we would go with the one who we felt the most trusting. And I think you've really fit the bill here. I believe you can be trusted. You know what? I like you. And with that, the room kind of calmed down. There was no pressure. In fact, there was love. I really want you to know that. There was love coming out of those people. They were looking at me and saying, you know what? I can trust this guy. It's okay. I'm going to open my heart up. I'm going to listen to what he has to say. And that's exactly what happened. I can't tell you, I was synchronous with that board. You see, I wanted to be their business partner at that point in time. And I felt my product and service was the right thing for them. They felt it. That heartfelt feeling of trust mattered. And it mattered because I won the business. They wanted to do business with me. I was a trusting partner. And later on, I learned that because I offered not only my services and my products, but that I offered to meet with people directly using the equipment to make sure they used it to its best, most effective, and most accountable way for the business, the security business for that large building. It was my communications. It was my trust. It was my vision for them that I had the right product for a security company to use in a very tall building. Those stories, I hope, bring you to this high level of heart performance where the team that is synchronous, that is in synchronicity, they're in the heart zone where they do more for less. They do faster work, easier work, and they're always getting better. And that's the top part of the spiral. Right now, I'd like to go back to screen share. Okay, so we've got trust. And it didn't come up like I wanted to, but. Okay, so here's the trust element. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to open the meeting up to some scenarios in which I'll allow you to look at the elements of the spiral to kind of pick and choose those things that come out in the scenarios. This part of the program is really all about your involvement. I like to show this slide often when I'm working with people on teams or any of the training sessions I do. Uh, you see, we know how we learn, but it's the retention part that becomes most important when we're learning. And as you look at the numbers going up, 80%, what could be better than 80% retention by the people? The answer is 95% comes from those times when we teach and coach each other. My friend Dave Meyer from the Center for Accelerated Learning is fond of saying, we learn best when we learn from each other. So here's a question and answer. We're going to start with a guess where we are type of thing. And I want to put up the spiral as I talk about the scenario. The first scenario has everything to do with entrepreneurs. My experience working with entrepreneurs, especially when I get them to recall what it was like when they started, most of them will tell you, well, it was all me. You know, I had to put all my effort into everything that would make the business a success. And then after that, they begin talking about they were having success and they wanted to invest more in the business. And to do that, they had to maybe talk to a banker or some loan person to help them get money so they could hire additional people. Many entrepreneurs are on a shoestring budget for a long time. So this advent of an investment opportunity for somebody and they want to buy into it becomes critical to the entrepreneur. What does the entrepreneur do best? It's not all those little jobs on the side, running different machines or talking on the telephone to somebody that wants to get information. He needs to be what he is successful, what made him successful as an entrepreneur. And in that success pattern, okay, he is able to hire other people to do the jobs that are not helping the business, but not helping him, but helping the business grow. So in that process, where other people are doing great work for him, he climbs back into what he does better as the entrepreneur. So I hope what you begin to sense is in this scenario that the heart of the entrepreneur is the passion, the love that he has. You see, he gets an idea, he has a dream, has a vision, and he pushes it to the ultimate, to the point where it becomes successful. But in hiring other people, he may not be able to convey all the importance of the lowest part of the spiral. So right now, if you were to think about the scenario I just talked about, do we have a poll up? Okay. Right now, if you look at the poll, what we want you to do is kind of touch on the ones that you think apply in the entrepreneurial drive here. What was happening?
The poll didn't save, so if they want to drop it in the chat, it's those words at the bottom of the spiral. So vision, communication, commitment, effectiveness, or accountability, and trust.
Yeah, those are the elements that we want to bring into play. Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah, I apologize for that. I'm not sure why it didn't save. We have Fran saying vision. Anybody else have any thoughts on which of those, or maybe more than one? Sheldon said commitment. AJ went hard and said all of them. Tori says communications. AJ, I like your enthusiasm. You know what? Never mind.
Actually, as you think about business scenarios, I want to encourage you to think that all of these begin to play a part in an organization that's growing. especially where they're trying to bring the team together. And so they're so conscious of what they do individually, but yet how it contributes to the whole, the collective group of minds coming together and then moving into the heart zone, where they think so consciously of each other that there is nothing but synchronicity. It continues to happen. Does anybody have a question at this point about this particular scenario? Anybody? You'll be getting a copy of this overhead on the spiral. And I hope as a takeaway, you'll begin to look at it and say, it applies, and you'll find ways to use it in your own work and teamwork with other people. Now I want to transition to another scenario. The team I was leading was in Europe, Asia, and the Americas. And we used to get together every quarter at the beginning of the month, at the beginning of the quarter, the first week of the quarter. And the purpose was to not so much talk about what we did, but what we needed to do. This was a real collaborative effect. So we used to start the meeting by having everybody with a time frame. You have 5 minutes to tell us what you did in the last quarter, what was successful and what worked. But you have 55 minutes, up to 55 minutes to tell us what became apparent to you that we need to do next or more of, so that we can continue our success pattern. It was in this area that collaboration became the key to multiple successes. During the period of time that our team worked, we developed 37 different training programs for the industries we were serving. Not only that, it helped us in our business consulting, because the people in general fed us information that helped us develop the new programs. They told us what was needed for their teams. Again, what you sense is that it's not all about me, it's about us. It's about the team and the heart that we put into our business. We're going from head to heart, always thinking about what we can do more of for less, faster, easier, and better. When you get the book, you'll understand more about how those elements, more fast, less for less, faster, and easier, and better, come into play in all teamwork. It's that synchronous area. So the scenario I just told you about, this brief story of the team that we worked with, once again, look at the polling chart and see if there's anything that you feel is more apparent or is apparent from the scenario I just described.
So Tori says trust, but Sharon had a question. How is each element in the spiral being defined?
Okay. Can we finish the poll, and then I'll be very happy to dig into that for you.
Absolutely. Sure. She also thinks effectiveness is a key element there. William says accountability from his war room. That makes sense. Any other thoughts on these traits at the bottom of that spiral below the little heart? Mary David says, allowing the members to contribute their thoughts, make them feel as if they play a part in the whole picture.
Okay.
Very true.
I want to thank you for volunteering. And in fact, I'd like to make a couple of books available to anybody who really has something that they really feel they want to ask a question about, which will help us all, or something they want to share from their own team experiences. So we'll want to make sure we get a copy of the whole book to several of you who participate today. Can I go back to that question now about identifying the work in the spiral, a
Yes.
lower spiral? Who asked that question again, Amanda?
That was Sharon.
Sharon, okay. Well, Sharon, when we start at the bottom of the spiral in this vision area, the Greek oracle used to say, without vision, people perish. So you see, if we don't know where we're going, if we're just in survival mode, anything that happens keeps us in survival. On the other hand, with a good vision of where we're going, we begin to see that with vision, believe it or not, people flourish. It's almost like a heart effect, see? I have a vision, and that vision will keep expanding because my heart starts to go into the vision. It may be a dream at start, but it quickly gets into the vision of what I think can really happen if I begin to work on the vision and bring it to fruition. It doesn't just satisfy me, by the way. Most visions, if not all, are about others. You see, we are community-oriented people. We love to be with others. And the best thing that happens in our lives is the feeling, the heartfelt feeling we get, somebody else benefits from something we've said or done. So the vision begins the process. People buy into the vision. In our book, we have a section totally devoted to understanding the power of vision. Vision usually takes on added opportunities, which is another discussion called, which we won't get into, but it's called the S-curve. The element of communications, I've already used it a couple of times, but I can't emphasize enough that you can never communicate enough. Whatever you do, don't shut down anybody. If they want to talk, listen to what they have to say. They really want to benefit you, the reason they're talking. And that benefit will only happen when you start to listen. The more you involve yourself in them, the more your relationship grows, the more you're going to talk openly and freely. There will be no private agendas, no silos on the team. The next element of commitment is very important. Most people, when they talk about commitment, only address the issue of rewards. I tell you, it's a mistake. You see, if all I think about is the reward, the commitment will be shallow. Go back to the London sales team. They were coming in with a shallow commitment. It was all about them becoming a manager. They almost didn't care about sales. They heard the word management, and that's all they could think about. So their commitment was not to the sales team. You understand that that flaw could cause major problems for the morale of the team. So commitment must include risk. If there's no discussion about risk, the rewards will fall on people who are too self-centered to be a contributor. It won't be internally collaborative. They'll be competitive within the team, and that can destroy a team. Effectiveness is probably understood that doing the thing right, but doing the right thing and doing it right now. So efficiencies are something that we continue to work on after we've done something. You ever work on a project or you've done something, and after it was done, you said, you know, I could have done that better. That's the efficiency kicking in after. But the good news is you started with effectiveness. You got the job done now. And that's what effectiveness is all about. Accountability is so important. If you just take on responsibility, you're not going to be successful. You see, to be accountable, I have to tell other people what I'm doing. So in the book, we talk about preview and review. And that's where accountability comes out. I tell people in the preview what I'm going to do. The fact that I'm sharing and telling other folks what I'm going to do, it relates back to commitment, but it also puts me in an accountable situation. I will be coming back to you when we review what I was going to do, and I am accountable to you that it will happen. I hope that makes sense. Accountability happens best when others know what you're going to do and that you commit to them that you're going to do it. Finally, we end up with trust. By the way, the story I told about trust, it wasn't all about me. I mean, I made a sale, but the most important part of that trusting was what I felt in my heart with that board. I can't help but get back to it and tell you that on all great teams, the trust element is what puts you into that synchronous zone, the heart zone, where you do more for less. There's less effort, there's less money, there's less time involved. It's faster because you've got a lot of collective help, talents coming to make it happen faster. It's easier because once again, everybody's on the team. They've got their whole heart. All their energy is into it. That makes it easier. Energy, you can feel it when it comes from the heart. And better. You know, it's just like Stephen Covey said, you got to sharpen the saw. Well, sharpening the saw is all about better and better. Best is not the end game. The better and better, the continuous improvement is a process that never stops. And on great teams, we are always getting better and better. We're right at the closing of our session today. I hope it's been helpful. And I do have time, I guess, for one more quick question. I have 3 minutes to go. Anybody got a question? Or anybody have anything they want to share? I'd love to hear what you have to share.
You can also raise your hand and speak up, come off mute and say something if you want. Of course, this is like a tabletop because we have 3 minutes, so try to be quick. To be mindful of everyone's time, but if anybody has any comments or questions for Joe, I also dropped his email in the chat as well. So that is available. Anybody want to say anything?
I wanted everybody to see the team that put it together tonight. It wasn't easy. We began talking and meeting almost 2 weeks ago, and we had several sessions trying to get our responsibilities to each other, our accountabilities together. And an interesting thing happened tonight. I shouldn't say interesting, kind of a sad thing. Rick Schellinger's son broke his arm in a bicycle accident. And so he had to not join us tonight. And he was so saddened by it, but at the same time, he was doing the right thing. He was with his son at the emergency ward. But it's never one person that makes the great success. In my opinion, it's always two or more. My company, Team to Learn, has everything to do with 2 or more people. And I use a capital L and a capital E in that learn. And that stands for when we team, we learn from each other. And the more we learn from each other, the more we earn our future. I want you to think about that. Earning your future is not about just money. It's about the relationships that you have with other people. They will elevate you to heights you have never thought of. And right now, even though I don't hear a lot of words from the audience, I know that our hearts are in sync right now. And I thank you. Thank you very much for being with you tonight.
Joe, we did have a question. Well, we have two questions. The quick one is, what is the name of your book?
Okay. The name of the book is Spiral Up, The Surprising Secret of Great Teams. And again, will tell you, the secret is not a secret. It's heart. So that's the title of the book. What was the other question?
What is the role of executive leadership in relationship to the team? A little
Oh,
more. That's a little more.
well, you know what? Again, the book opens with this executive leadership example. We have a man who has been very successful in a big company, and he's being given a product to roll out from scratch. So he's got to assemble a team, put them together, and then help the team roll out this product in a very short period of time. So he's racked with this idea of, how can I do this? I know a lot of good people, but there's a mystery in this rollout. And I hope when you buy the book, you'll begin to understand it. I have a blind man who comes in as a coach and an observer. Think about it. But the executive has known this man for a long time, and his credentials with the executive are top drawer. He's also an older fellow, but don't rule out older people. Many of them still have a fire in their belly to make things happen for the good. So the executive in every situation becomes initially an advocate and then a sponsor. The executive cannot lead the team. The team must work with itself. So I say that the connection on a great team is that they are leaderful. Okay, there's a lot of leaders at different times with different gifts that are contributing, and we're leaderless. You see, we have to recognize when we need to step up and when we need to be a follower. So we don't always have to lead, but we have to be a contributor. Again, it gets back to this idea of internally collaborative, externally competitive.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Joe, for presenting tonight. I know I was just blown away with your wisdom, and we appreciate you putting this together for us. I'm excited to see your book on the I guess it's the virtual shelves, right? Like, and I want to thank everybody that was a part of the team to help put this together. Of course, thank you, Roxanne, for hosting in your own right. I realized as I said that that's what I'm doing as well. So nonetheless, thank you. And thank you to Kari as well. Jerry's got the hands up. Yay, Jerry using the reaction buttons. Great. If you guys have any further questions for Joe and Sharon, yay, William, woohoo, Sheldon, all the hands. I like it. Yes.
Don't hesitate to call.
I'm gonna use the party icon though. Hey, party icon. I know that there are some other things going on tonight for the district. So thank you guys for taking the time. If you have any further questions for Joe, please feel free to reach out to him. I know he'd be happy to talk to you. I also dropped his website in the chat for you all. So it's a quick link, so you can just click on that and head on over. And otherwise, we will see you around the district, and I have an inkling that many of you are probably officers at some club, so we will see you on Saturday for TLI. Reminder, come to TLI. Roxanne, did you have anything further you wanted to tell everybody that is here still?
Yep, I just want to say thank you so much, Joe, for your workshop tonight. Thank you for all of you that attended. And we have another workshop coming up next Thursday night. David Lawhorn is presenting the 12-step transformation. It's part of the 12-week transformation as part of the book, the 12-week year. Yes. So please register for that and come out for that one as well. And we have a lot of workshops that are on the District 44 website. Thank you to AJ, our PRM. And I'd also like to give a shout out to our Club Growth Director who's here tonight, Kari Evans. Hello, AJ and Kari. So again, thank you all for being here tonight. Thanks, Amanda, and especially Joe. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. We'll see you all very soon. Oh, and don't forget to check out the Facebook page if you're not on the Facebook page. You know, I always try to throw that out there in case anybody's missing that. We always have good stuff there.
Check out our website,
Yeah,
e44toastmasters.org.
that too. All the things.
All the things.
All the
44, post.
Yes. Hashtag. Am I hashtagging?
I remember those. Who started the recording? Because I don't think I did.
I did.
Oh, okay. I'll let you finish it then.
Okay.